Welcome to Hops News, the trusted source in beer culture news. Here's your host, Jay Brew, with special guests, the Hoppy Mommy, Lucky, and Nash.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Hops News with some new digs. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the new logo, new little countdown. There's a little bit of a hitch there in the beginning, so I apologize. I changed up some software and how I produce that, and I wasn't quite used to it there. I thought it was going to reset after I tested it before we went live, but obviously, like most things, they don't work the way you expect them to. But we'll definitely get there. Have a great episode lined up for you tonight. We're going to talk a little beer news, and then we're going to talk about social media trolls. If you follow the Geeks Twitter account over the past couple of days, you probably saw some sparring back and forth. I always find it interesting. I definitely want to get the viewers' take. If you want to chime in on it, come over here and join us on Facebook. We'll take some comments there on our Facebook group. And just kind of want to get your guys' take. And obviously, we'll get the other crews, those on the crew here tonight, their take on social media trolls, and more importantly, kind of what I'm after is, you know, if you're a brand, do you engage trolls? Do you just ignore them? Kind of what's your take? So give that some thought tonight, and we'll have a discussion about that here shortly. But let's first go check in with Hoppy down there in balmy Orlando, Florida. Hoppy, what's the gold bond count today? It's probably pretty high.
I think it's your average 90 degrees, so maybe like 5 gold bonds, or is that 75 gold bonds?
Yeah, I mean, 575 at that point, for me, it's all about the same. I mean, that's some sticky nut situation down there.
Gold bond.
Yeah.
It's all just messy.
Yeah, you're just dragging your nuts around in some gold bond all day long if you got a chance. Hobby, how are things? What's the beer scene like in Orlando? Everything well? Everybody living, partying like it's the end of the world? Hot as hell, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we don't have any mask mandates, so it's really just the preference of the brewery. So a lot of places are still saying like, "Hey, just keep your masks on when you're walking around." But that's really just in Orange County. You go over to any other county, and they haven't had mask mandates for a while. But we're at full capacity everywhere. We've been at full capacity everywhere. I'm drinking some Florida beer here. That's actually Disney themed Florida beer. So that's going to go into my story in a little bit. Um, but I thought since you're always asking how it is in Florida, I feel like every week I should give a headline of a Florida man story. So
Yes.
Yeah.
here's a fun headline for a Florida man. Florida man claims he hits deer. Human leg found at accident.
Oh,
That was
shit.
close.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're both mammals.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
Both have
that
legs.
is. Yeah, that sounds like a Florida man story for sure.
Yeah, some Florida men stories though are misleading. Like there was another one that said Florida man chased his stolen Lamborghini on scooter, but what happened was he saw this kid steal his Lamborghini and he jumped on his scooter and chased him down. So I mean, that's not really Florida man story, but it still says Florida man. And then you see drunk Florida man, which just seems redundant. But so yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on down here. I think the weather's great. I know, Lucky, you're up in the 80s. That's like our January.
I hate you so much, but yes, I am.
Lucky, how are things going there in Milwaukee?
Things are amazing here, man. Summer is back. Milwaukee is back. I have been living it up. Missed out a little bit last summer. Missed out on last summer completely, I guess. But yeah, we are having a lot of fun up here. The mask mandate is completely lifted. It did, I think last week was the first week that I went out and there were absolutely no masks anywhere. So we're enjoying that and we're having a lot of fun. Everything's back. I think everything is officially at full capacity on June 25th, I want to say. But brewery games and stuff like that are going to, or their tickets are going on sale for full capacity games, I think the 14th of June. So very excited for that. Excited for the city to be back. But yeah, we're living it up. I missed you guys last week. Summer's just so crazy for me. But last week I had Producer Beef's birthday. So shout out Producer Beef. We did it real big on Wednesday. So sad I missed you guys, but it was fun. Fun week, fun stuff happening here. I'm
Nice.
drinking lots of home brews tonight. I think I'm gonna try to get through Patrick's, the ones that he sent with me. Shout out Patrick. When I was down in Iowa, I want to make sure that I have them before they go bad. His red ale, absolutely fantastic. Seriously, so good. He's really making good beer down there. So yeah, we're living it up.
Yeah, that sounds good. Can't complain about some good homebrew, that's for sure. And I will chime in. Mash sent us a message today. Said they sent in their homebrew for that competition here at Boonshine. So
Oh, nice.
should hear some
cool.
results from those guys next weekend. Lucky we missed you last Wednesday, man.
Yeah, it was a crazy night for me. We didn't have a surprise birthday party, but it was kind of last minute. So we threw a couple people together and went to Explorium. Obviously, we ate at Explorium. Shout out Mike. They hooked us up. So we went to Explorium for dinner and then just got rowdy as can be downtown. So having a lot of fun.
Awesome. Let's go check in with Brewwitch. Brewwitch, how are things there? And how do I have Brewwitch in Germany? Man, I would tell you what, I'm all dicked up over here tonight. So Brewwitch is
right.
not in Germany tonight. I can promise.
At least you got that sick new logo.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'm on the logo. I have like a pint for hand. I'm thriving. I'm
Yeah,
into it.
for sure.
Um,
Brewwitch, how's things going up there in Chicago, Illinois?
Down there in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, sure. Middle
For me.
there. Chicago. Yeah, things are going well. It's also gorgeous here. Like summer has arrived. I've been in the sun. I went swimming on Friday and Saturday, which was something I haven't done in ages, and it was so nice. I was also in Wisconsin for a wedding, so I basically drank the most I've probably drank in like a year. To be completely
That's what
honest.
happens. That's what
Yeah.
happens when you cross into our territory.
Yeah, like my dad had asked my recommendations on what beers to have at the wedding, And in the end, I gave him a long list because I'm annoying. But in the end, he ended up getting New Glarus and Miller High Life. So I was absolutely delighted with the choices that were made.
Beautiful. That is perfect. Can't go wrong with either.
I was thrilled, and I had an excellent time. And all these random people at the wedding cornered me and were like, "I hear you're on a beer channel." So I had a lot of explaining to do. Yeah, it's been good. It's still gorgeous out today. I do beer lessons with this one woman who goes by Hoppy Nomad on Instagram if you follow her. And she does like beer courses. So we had our first lesson today. So I'm already like 2 beers in. Things are going well. Happy to be here.
Beer courses, are you teaching them or what's the,
No.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm not teaching them, but she does online. I think it wasn't intended to be online, but like COVID came. So now she does online courses, just all about beer, brewing, tasting, whatever you can imagine. And I already did the basics course about a month ago or 2 months ago. And now she's doing the advanced course. So that started today. So like I've had a lot of beer, and it goes for, I think, 12 weeks every Wednesday. So I'm going to have like a packed beer Wednesday for the upcoming 2 months. It's going to be good.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that does
Not a
sound
bad
good.
thing.
Sounds like a good way to do the hump day. What are you drinking up there tonight?
So I'm drinking Pipeworks, a Chicago brewery. I've had a few from them on this show, so like you've probably heard me talk about them. I'm starting off with a rye lager, which I do like.
Nice.
I just wish it could have way more rye in it. It's a bit mild. But into it anyways, and I love the can. I don't know if you guys can see it well. It's like a very like
It's like
old school.
Yeah, like old school Budweiser feel, honestly, like a Christmas Budweiser feel.
They have like a few beers that are in this style, and like they're all kind of like old timey beer brand, and they're just amazing. Like I love them. It's a good brewery if you guys are in Chicago. Like they usually have like a good variety.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us again tonight, Brew. Good to see you on the logo, properly represented with the crew. That was an awesome touch that they were able to pull through with us. Hoppy, did we get your beer?
No, I didn't say my beer. It's the Enchanted Tiki Room from Hidden Springs. So if anybody's been to Magic Kingdom before, it's Tiki Room. And it's inspired by Dole Whip. So it says Dole Whip inspired sour ale with lactose. So the Dole Whip line is always like ridiculous. It's basically like pineapple ice cream, I think. And then you can get some rum added to it at Epcot. So they sell it at Epcot too. But the line at Magic Kingdom is always ridiculous. It's over in Adventureland. But this is a really great brewery. If you like sours and you're in the Tampa area, Hidden Springs is an absolute must. And they always have some sweet can art. And they'll do all sorts of things too. Like there's a Park and Rec one that has like Ron Swanson crying on it, and it's called Little Sebastian. And yeah, they got lots of fun labels.
Nice.
So, and I'm drinking it out of my Cigar City glass because that will go into my Magic Kingdom beer article I'm going to talk about in a minute.
Nice.
That's what I'm drinking.
I had to pick up, so today we got about an inch of rain since noon, and it is fucking, my nuts are sticking to the side of my legs sitting out here on the patio. And it is
like 30 Gold Bond?
yeah, there's definitely some Gold Bond rating up here tonight. I'm literally sitting in the oldest t-shirt I have because it's the thinnest in my underwear out here on the patio on a podcast. So I picked up, this is usually not my style. What is it? Birds Fly South Ale Project, Brand New Eyes. It's a farmhouse ale. This is not something I usually pick up, but being as nasty as it is right now, this beer literally lasted about 2 minutes. So it was good. Nice, light, a little bit overcarbonated. It spewed at me a little bit when I first opened it up, but otherwise a great farmhouse. I mean, they've done a great job with that, nailing that style here for sure. So got a good episode lined up for you guys. We're going to kick it off with a little beer news now, and I think we're going to go back to Hoppy to talk about a little beer news that we haven't talked about much here recently, but we're going to tonight. Hoppy, beer news, what do you have for us?
So my beer news is actually kind of historical. It's not like current events. A friend of mine sent me this. She's like, I don't know if this is beer news. I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. So I thought it was worth sharing. So in recent years, they actually discovered a 17th century mummified bishop and he was studied because he was so well preserved. Oh, look at that! You even got the thing. Awesome. So he wasn't embalmed. They actually laid him on herbs and preservative hops. So I thought that was pretty cool. I feel like that should be a movement that we start because it'd be way better for the environment. You know, the last thing you do when you die is you get embalmed and you poison the earth one more time. Why not be laid on a bed of hops? So I thought that was really cool. Yeah, it's an article from the Smithsonian. If anybody wants to check it out, you literally just Google Smithsonian and bishop and hops, and it comes right up.
Yeah, I love it. And I pulled up the link that you posted there in our agenda, and I had to show this picture. So if you're watching us, YouTube, or if you watch us later, you'll see it. It's pretty cool to see how good a shape he's still in. I mean, it is amazing.
And if you read the article, the little bundle too is, I guess they X-ray the you know, because they try to be very careful with these things. So they X-rayed it and they found a little tiny bundle, and they believe it was an premature stillborn grandson of his. So I guess that was common back in the days when little ones passed, they would bury them with grown-ups.
Interesting.
That was more common then. But yeah, very interesting article.
Yeah,
Hops
for
aren't
sure.
just for beer.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think that hops were used to preserve people at one time, but it kind of makes
Not
sense,
just
right?
India pale ales.
Yeah,
I want to be
yeah.
buried in beer.
Hey, now we're talking. Brew, what's your, you got a little bit of beer news as well up there in Illinois.
I do, and this is very off-brand for me. It's about video gaming, which, like, I know nothing about. Like, the only game I play is a Harry Potter game on my phone that's definitely meant for preteens. So, like, this is very off-brand for me. But PlayStation in 2022, I think, is releasing a game called Brewmaster Homebrew Simulation Game. Yeah, that's the one. And they apparently are going, like, full science on it, and you'll be able to brew, doing everything like the proper way. They say they're heavily focusing on like the chemistry and everything of it. They say there's going to be storylines, there's going to be competitions, so you'll brew something in the game and you'll have to somehow compete against fictional other brewers, I think. They also have, like, I think they call it like a free brew like lesson where you can just brew whatever you want and see what happens. Yeah, they are very into it. There was a very, like, excited article about, like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. People are going to love it. But, like, my question is, would you bother brewing if you can't actually taste the beer at the end?
That is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, like, I feel like I wouldn't, unless, like, I was trying to, like, really learn the process of it and really, like, master it or something. I don't know. But at the same time, like, I'm not sure if I really need to play this.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of appeal to it, but what I think would be interesting is if they make it like a simulation of sorts, like a realistic scientific simulation that said, you know, over brewing beer for so long, we know that this does this, right? This ends up the result. So, I you know, the nerd in me would be like, man, I'd like to get it and see it and brew a couple of batches in it to see if it works, and then brew them for real, using that kind of that same recipe to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I'd be curious because there was also something about how they would have, like, I'm not sure what the word they used was, but like specific styles and brewing processes. So maybe they would, like, take you to a specific style from a specific place, and you'd see exactly how it's brewed and what goes into it. So from, like, that point of view, it's quite educational if you're going to be learning really specific things. But I still would want to drink it.
Yeah, it's definitely, because we came across this article on, and we posted it on Hops Geek, but it sounds like more has come out since. It wasn't as, we were just like, oh, there's going to be a brewing video game, and that was about it. But yeah, I agree. I feel like if you have to be a true beer geek to want to do this, because it's got to be for the educational purposes, and like Jay said, like a trial run.
Yeah.
So
I think it'd be pretty
Maybe
neat.
it'll be at bars and breweries as like an arcade game.
I think as probably the one that's maybe not played the most video games, but has played video games the most recently, other than Brew, which is Harry Potter game.
Yes.
I have friends. I don't understand the whole simulator craze, but there's farming simulators, there's train conducting simulators, there's all of that kind of stuff. I've never gotten into it, but I have friends that again, I don't do this, but I have friends that love getting super high and like conducting a train or flying a plane like from San Francisco to Guam. I don't know. Like they do all kinds of weird stuff like that and they love it. I've never gotten into it, but I imagine that's maybe this is a little more nerdy, but the whole simulator thing I just don't understand. So, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's for sure interesting, but
Yeah.
like
I mean, if
Yes.
I was any good at the flight simulators, I would probably enjoy them. But I'll be fucking honest with you, man. Even like the Top Gun games, dude, I'm just fucking flying loops and circles
Yeah.
and trying to figure out which way's up and not crash. So I just suck at all of that shit. That's why I don't play it. But brewing,
sure.
I mean, that might be a little bit different.
yeah, they're also super. It's the same thing, like maybe not like chemicals and stuff, but it's super realistic flying the plane. Like you can crash super easily. If you do one wrong thing, then your entire plane or train goes down or whatever. So I would imagine it's going to be the same thing and it'll appeal to somebody, but I don't know. I've never gotten into them.
Hey, on the
I
farm
think-
simulators, do the farmers crash the tractors?
Maybe they do, or like I don't know, they don't harvest in time, so I have no idea. But it's like a long process. It's basically just living a life as a farmer for who knows. I don't know. I don't get it, but
So I've seen the farm simulator game on like PlayStation, and I'm just like, who the fuck simulates a garden 24/7?
I don't know. I can't imagine like having an actual garden's fun. I know it's fun for some people, but I personally wouldn't like taking care. I got rid of the plant. Remember the plant that used to show up? I got rid of that when I moved just because that was too much of a hassle, a single plant. So the whole garden I can't imagine, but doing it on a computer or on a video game, I really don't understand it.
No, like my commitment to a lot of games is quite minimal. Like this Harry
Yeah.
Potter game, I've been playing for like 3 years. I think it's only supposed to take probably a year, but like I just am very like uncommitted at this point. So I can't imagine I would want to like commit myself to brewing. Would you have to wait?
Right.
Like lager? Like what? I have questions.
They come back in 4 weeks. It's fermenting.
Yeah.
Recommending for 4 weeks. Please buy like the add-on to
Yeah.
continue. Yeah.
I-
You get like an alert to add hops.
I'm very much my video games nowadays. I log into or I play like Call of Duty or something like that, and I have a 12-year-old kill me 15 times and call me the N-word, and I like log off immediately and don't play it again for another 6 months. It's so aggressive. It's crazy how like good these kids are and how just ruthless they are online. So it's crazy. But that's how it goes. That's all. That's my video games right now.
Lucky, I believe you got some beer news as well. Let's go check in with Lucky's beer news.
It is Milwaukee specific, so there's not a whole lot to report on it now. This happened just a couple of days ago, and they actually, as I logged into Instagram, no joke, they messaged me back. But it's something that hopefully we're going to be a part of. So yeah, there's the picture of the Instagram post. So it's something called Love Milwaukee. Go follow them on Instagram if you can. It's Love Milwaukee 414. I think they posted as of 1 day ago, so yesterday. But so their caption on this one photo is, so what happens when you bring together 7 breweries, 8 community organizations, and an investment firm? We don't know either, but we know it starts with love. Milwaukee is a city with a diverse population across multiple spectrums and avenues. We have seen around the country and a new lens focused on diversity, and inclusion. And the time has always been now to celebrate differences that make up the same. The many communities that make Milwaukee have every reason to connect and collaborate. And what better way to do that than the amazing beverages that keep us smiling, beer and kombucha. This passion for connection is how Love Milwaukee collaboration was born. Join us this summer, a series of community get-togethers and socials hosted by partner breweries and community organizations with a collaboration accumulating with a mixed six-pack representing the different groups Milwaukee can show love. So
yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that was very long. I'm excited for it. We've done stuff with Mobcraft specifically. I guess Mobcraft and New Barons talking a lot about diversity. Feeling Lucky, that is, has had, I guess we've had them both on the Hoppy Hour, but they love, their big thing right now is diversity in beer. You guys know that, and trying to promote that. So it's cool that Feeling Lucky has had on Mobcraft, New Barons, and 1840, and they've all been awesome interviews, some of them multiple times, and we're going to be a part of promoting this. Heidi's super excited about it. The New Barons is specifically the ones that reached out and asked us if we wanted to promote it when they got a little more information. So very excited for it. Going to be at all of them probably, if there's a few specific events and releases and stuff. But I'm excited. Just something cool that's happening in Milwaukee.
Sounds like they're going to collaborate and produce like a 6-pack maybe as well, right? Like, man, I will tell you what, I need one of those for sure. Put my name down.
Yeah.
Put my name on the list, whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. 7 breweries. So maybe they're all making their own or something like that. And they're just going to put them together and sell them at these events or something. I have no idea. There's going to be a press release that comes out soon. But again, this was just announced yesterday. So very excited for it.
That's breaking. Breaking news. You heard it
Mobcraft
here first.
They're still doing their logger and listen too. I didn't realize I got an email from them, and I didn't look at it until today. And I was like, oh, when is it? And apparently it was last night. So I enjoyed the one I went to a few months ago. So if anybody hasn't done that, the logger and listen, it's a Zoom, but they're talking about more diversity in the beer industry. They had Danny on from Beers Giving a while, and then Henry from Mobcraft on there, and then they give you homework. Like you have to share things, and you have to go follow these certain pages, and it's be the change. Don't just sit there and listen. You drink your lager, you listen, and then you have to do your homework. So I was bummed I missed it, but hopefully I need to pay better attention to the page so I don't miss the next one. And then we can share it with everybody because I know Corey was on the last one and some other people as well. So.
Yeah, it's super cool that we did a back before the first Lager and Listen happened. We had Mobcraft and MKE Black. Those are the two organizations that run the Lager and Listens. That's Ayrton from MKE Black and Henry from Mobcraft. We had them on an episode, and they talked about diversity and inclusion and all of that stuff. And I think it spreads more than just ethnicities and stuff that you see typically in breweries. So it's super cool. I think I'm excited for all of it to happen. But this summer, Milwaukee is back. I'm very excited for it. So.
Yes. I'm excited for everything being back, and I will tell you what, my beer news is, Brewwitch will find this kind of interesting. The German army is obviously pulling out of Afghanistan like a lot of other countries, and they've got a unique situation. They've got about 60,000 cans of beer that they've got in country that, if you know what Afghanistan is about, they can't sell it in the country and they can't dispose of it in the country. So pretty unique situation because everything that an army takes in and that it has to move out obviously costs money. So the German army recently announced that they contracted with a private company that is going to move the beer out of Afghanistan and sell it and keep the proceeds from the beer to fund the removal of the beer from Afghanistan. I will tell you, that is such a crazy situation because I've spent some time myself in the Army and stationed with various countries side by side and doing different missions. And the one thing remains true. If you want to get drunk, you got to get in good with the guys in the German Army, because they have access to beer wherever the fuck they go and whatever they are doing, they are drinking beer. The U.S. Army served near beer, but the guys in Germany are definitely drinking the real shit. And they have they do have like a I guess they call it a limit. They say a 2 beer limit per day per person. That's a lot of fucking beer because not everybody drinks beer. So typically what happens is the people that do drink beer will get it, or don't drink beer will get it and kind of share it around to the people that are. But just an interesting problem with or situation where you talk about countries that are withdrawn from regions like that. 60,000 cans of beer. That's a shit ton of beer.
Yeah.
And have their own
Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably what they'll do. The company will probably sell it to somebody and have their own little Oktoberfest event on the cheap up there somewhere and have a hell of a time.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, definitely a good problem to have. Let's, Hoppy, I think you got a little bit of Disney news for us tonight as well, right? Let's go check in with some Disney beer.
So I'd been wanting to do this for a while. If anybody's seen, I haven't been doing articles lately, but I'm still doing videos on finding beer every time Epcot does a new festival, because they do festivals all year now. You got Christmas, you got Food and Wine, you got Arts, you got Flower and Garden. But every festival, there's new beers, there's new booths, there's a lot of local beers mixed with big beers and all sorts of stuff. So I always do videos to let you know what beer is there. Now, Magic Kingdom, until a few years ago, had no alcohol whatsoever. However, they did finally decide, if you haven't been there in a while, that all the sit-down restaurants can have alcohol. But, of course, that means you got to pay the theme park prices, or the baseball game prices for a beer, and you have to pay for the fancy food, not just the walk-up food. But when you're at Magic Kingdom all day, it's really nice to sit in an air-conditioned restaurant and have a beer. So if you go to YouTube, and I'll even drop the link in here, I have my own little playlist on our YouTube channel, just youtube.com/hopsnews, and you can see I have different theme park videos. So there's even one for drinking beer at Animal Kingdom, one for drinking beer at Hollywood Studios, and one for finding beer at Harry Potter World, at both parks at Harry Potter World and Universal. And I need to do an updated one for Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, because they have opened up more places to drink, because some places were actually closed and some still are because of COVID. So like one of my favorite bars at Hollywood Studios is still closed, but they should be open again soon. So if you're going to Magic Kingdom anytime soon, or you just want to see where you can find beer, check it out. MASH makes an appearance. Spoiler alert, he's eating the gray stuff, and it is delicious. So that's at Be Our Guest Restaurant, of course. So, and that was why I chose the beer today, to get a little Disney themed beer going on there. So most of the beer is macro, but you can find Cigar City Highlight at some of the places, so you don't have to even settle for crappy beer. And of course, when you're at Be Our Guest and stuff, they have, fancy French beers, and you can get Haugarden and all that stuff. So that's pretty much my news. I will pull up that link and I will post it in the comments.
Yeah, always good to watch those videos and to see truly how much good beer is in Disney. It's probably, I'll be honest with you guys, the Disney beer stuff on our YouTube channel is probably the heaviest hitter we have. It must be searched somehow. I haven't dug into the analytics behind our searches and what leads people to our videos and our links and all of that stuff, but it is one of the heaviest hitters that we have as Hops News is the Disney beer themed stuff. So obviously people out there are digging around.
Well, when it's 75 gold bonds outside and you have your kids complaining they want to go on Small World, you want to know where the beer is.
I want to.
And you can also too, you can do what I need. I need to do this. I haven't done this in a while. Is a monorail pub crawl. So the monorail does stop if you go on the hotel one. It stops at 3 different hotels, and all of those hotels have more than one bar. And so there's great beer options there too. So I need to do that. But you just have to time it so that you're not on the monorail when Magic Kingdom's getting out, because then it's just a shit show.
Hoppy,
I'll do it for the podcast.
You triggered a desire that I would have if I was one of those parents. If I was that parent that was sitting in that damn crowd with my kids and thousands of other screaming kids, I would want to know where the highest ABV beer is for the best value.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I had a guy come up to me a few years ago. I was at Animal Kingdom and I had a beer in my hand, and this good dad was like cliche dad, like, I mean, 2 New Balance sneakers. I think I've even told this story before, because I think my dad was like, "Hey, I have New Balance sneakers." Socks up to like, mid calf, like,
fanny pack,
backpack on with 2 straps. No, he had the full on backpack.
Oh,
and it was full. He had
shit.
baseball cap, This dude comes up to me, excuse me, where did you find that beer? Like, he was in a panic. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can buy,
I need
like, outside of
6 of
Magic
them.
Kingdom, there's beer everywhere. Even at the convenience stores in the hotels, they have, High Life, Sierra Nevada. So you can get, not just beer, you can get decent beer. And, at Epcot, you can get amazing beer.
I would definitely be Googling for it. I just cracked open a new one. New Samarum from Salisbury Brewing Company. This is the People's Elbow.
Ooh.
It's a good nod. The People's
rock.
Elbow, a hazy IPA ale brewed with coconut and lactose.
That sounds delicious.
That sounds great.
It's not something I would typically go for, but I have to tell you, it's pretty damn tasty.
I feel like
That's
it should
awesome.
be enjoyed on a beach, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds really nice.
Actually, it kind of sounds a
looks
little
good,
like,
too.
well, I guess mine's pineapple and lactose.
Ah, yeah, I would definitely switch because I'm not a big. I don't go out of my way for coconut flavors. That's for sure.
I got a new one, and
I
I
love-
didn't go with the homebrew. This one's really good though. It's called Sunset Passion. I'm going the wrong way. With passion fruit and tangerine wit, from New Realm Brewing. I think this is from Micah, his neck of the woods, I believe, and I only know that because all of the ones that he sends, he leaves the little cap on them.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but he does all of that and he cuts them all up individually, and I love it. But it's a really good beer. It's super interesting color. I don't know that you can see it. And I'm almost done with it, so that also doesn't help. But it's very good, very crushable.
Micah sends some great selections if you haven't been a part of his exchanges.
Yeah,
He
I think
hooks
for
it
sure.
up. Very
I
much
also-
so hooks it up.
I also just opened a new one. Another Chicago beer. So this one's called Crocus. It's from Half Acre Brewing Co., or Brew Co. So if you guys are in Chicago ever, like they're definitely, oh my God, there you go. They're definitely worth the stopover. They have 2 locations, one of which is shutting down soon. But like, it's a double IPA, double dry hopped. It is good, but a bit boozy. It's 8.5. So we'll see how I do with this one.
Ooh. After
how
you've
it
been drinking already?
Yeah, I know.
Good
I've made a
girl.
lot of bad choices today. Like it's just escalating. We'll see how this ends up. Not
I
well.
would argue
Ooh.
that it's a great choice.
Yeah, I also
Time
sat
to
in the
take
sun for
vitamins.
like 2 hours today. So
Oh
like,
my gosh, I haven't taken my vitamins.
Yeah, I really should do that.
I don't think I'm going out after, so it'll be good.
Yeah. Speaking of,
Recording
I'm
after
glad
this.
you mentioned it. Speaking of happy hour vitamins, the promo code is still up. Hops News. I think it's 20% off now on anything, so go check that out. 20% off on an order for happy hour vitamins. Good stuff, and I would definitely be amiss not to mention these guys. It's kind of one of those things, man. I know it sounds cliche that we definitely partake in what we promote, and we don't get shit back from it, other than the same promo codes that you guys get. But Hop Barons, these guys, man, this is a pound of coffee rub. I ran out of it. I'm not going to run out of it. I asked them when we were on if they had bulk. They didn't at the time. They do now. That's a pound of coffee rub. That, and I've got a pound of their mustard rub that's probably going to go on a pork shoulder this weekend and turned into pulled pork. So go check
Oof.
those guys out as well. Great product. I will tell you, if you're into the whole cooking, smoking, barbecue scene, you definitely can't go wrong with these guys. Great products. Very fresh, and goddamn, they make some tasty food.
Yeah,
So
I just
good.
got my bag of coffee rub as well. I'm buying in bulk now.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll be honest with you. When I seen it listed on their website in bulk, I get it. You know, they're where they went with the old style beer cans is kind of cool, but the cost is the same. You know, because they put it in the can. The cost is a little bit cheaper than what a pound of bulk is, but Man, when I can get it in the bulk and have that shit ready to go, like that is enough to do a couple of pork shoulders, and it'll be tasty, I promise you.
I just
That
love it on the
sounds
eggs.
so good. Ugh.
It's so good on the eggs with some coffee. The coffee rub on the eggs with some coffee.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't get that idea until the Hops Barons guys actually recommended that. And they're like, oh, yeah, you can pair it with anything, that you would drink coffee with. And I was a little skeptical with an actual coffee barbecue rub. And I had no reason to be at all.
Yeah. Yeah, coffee rubs are definitely a thing. Beef especially good. I haven't had it on the eggs yet, but I will definitely have to try it. I've had it on a lot of different beef short ribs, steaks, obviously, burgers, that sort of thing. I don't think you could really go wrong with the beef or the coffee on really anything if you wanted to try it, but definitely a tasty rub. They do have the brine coming out soon. I haven't received an update from them lately, but I'm sure they're in the works. The last word that I heard was they were waiting for the growlers, the half-gallon growlers or the gallon growlers that they were going to include in the package. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, Benefit and Bottle Share. Give a shout out to Mash and Bottle Share and Christopher over there doing awesome stuff with that, raising good money for those folks over there for a great cause. So looking forward to that as well. It's going to be tasty. I promise you that brine. If you're into cooking again, these are, there's a lot of people that beer and barbecue kind of go hand in hand, and you appreciate a good product. If you haven't brined with anything with hops in it, you're in for a treat. That brine on that chicken breast was pretty interesting because you could really pick up on the hops flavor that I've never picked up in a food before.
And it was so pretty, too. It really was beautiful. It seems so silly, but, pouring out the extra brine, after we were done making the chicken, was a little sad because it looked like, I don't know, really cool beer potpourri or something.
Yeah. Yeah, seeing the whole hops flower
amazing.
in there floating around was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And, if you're feeling brave, do as we did and take a bite into the hop. I mean, how many opportunities are you going to get for that? You may regret it, but...
I've for sure done it before. I forget where. There's a brewery up in La Crosse. I forget the name of it, but they have just like a barrel of hops sitting out at all times, and they kind of tell you to go and it's not one of the only places, but one of the only places that I've been to where they suggest you go and just grab it, and that was pre-COVID, I guess, so probably not super sanitary. But you just grab one out and pop it in, and not the greatest, but it is what it is. I'm going to grab another beer. I'll be right back.
When I was in Denmark, they had malts, a couple different malts, dried malts sitting out, and at the Carlsberg Brewery, and they told us to taste them to get the different flavors of the different malts. But
Yep.
But yeah, a hop would be more of a smack in the face.
Yeah, like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Sucker punch to your soul.
Yeah. So let's we'll wait just a couple of more minutes, but we're going to start to talk about the main topic here, and I picked up on it a little bit. So the main topic for tonight's show, and we're going to chat a little bit about this, is internet trolls or social media trolls, whatever you want to refer to them, just trolling in general, right? MASH with the Geeks News Twitter account had a run-in with a couple of people this past, what was it, weekend, I think, Hoppy, is when it started.
It was
maybe
on Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, on Saturday. I will give you the little bit of background that I know about it. Somebody had retweeted and quoted one of Geeks' tweets that were promoting one of their episodes, I believe, and made some smart-ass comment, basically saying that it wasn't any good, right?
Well, they also said it was run by two white dudes.
Yeah, talking about, bringing everything that you could imagine that a troll's going to bring into a conversation on the internet, brought into it, went obviously just where internet trolls and social media trolls go. But I guess my question to the crew tonight, and anybody that may be willing to chime in there on Facebook, is what do we do right? What's the appropriate response, right? One, I think there's two approaches, right? There's you as the individual, and then you as a brand, right? I completely get that Hops News is it's a brand, but it's a very small brand, right? And Feeling Luckies and the Geeks is it's a brand, but it's a very small brand. But let's take, for example, your Ford, your Chevy, your Whirlpool, you're the GEs, you're the Cokes, the Pepsis, the Budweisers, your Hops Baron, your whatever it may be that we talked about, Happy Hour Vitamins, and you get a troll that kind of chimes in with a negative comment on one of your posts. What is, what is your feel? What's your response? What do you do? What's your gut feeling? And I'm just going to go around here to the crew tonight and kind of get the feedback. If you're listening on their Facebook or any other place and want to chime in, come over to our Facebook page, because I definitely am interested to hear some other angles or other approaches as well, because it's such a hot topic, because there's people that I will tell you, there's brands that are ruined over trolling and their responses to trolls. So, Brew, what's your take on it?
I mean, personally, when like any comments like that, I ignore a lot of it. Like, unless it's something that's a big topic that should be addressed, I ignore it. Not that I get that many trolls on my like tiny Instagram account, but like I ignore it. For the brands, like it's quite hard to say, but I guess the point of social media is that like immediate one-to-one connection. So like they have to address it really at a certain point. Like that's like the benefit of all this, is that it is one-to-one as opposed to like one to the masses. So like they have to really address it, and otherwise, and how they handle it really will heavily affect like how people think of them. So yeah, I think it has to be addressed if you're a brand.
So you're in the kind of in the group that would say individuals probably best just to ignore it, not to engage. Maybe is that your approach, or you just like maybe respond whether you're a brand or an individual?
I think it really depends. Like if you're an individual and you have a huge following and it's something that's like monumental, like it's an important topic, then like definitely address it. But like a lot of the things you get are probably nothing. So if you're an individual and you want to just ignore it, definitely do. But like the brands, they have to address it. Like I don't think there's really any way around it. Like that's honestly the point of this.
Interesting take. I won't comment yet, but we will save them up. Hoppy, what's your take? I gathered a little bit from the comments in our group chat that we have on text messages, but what's your take on internet trolls, social media trolls?
So I had nothing to do with the Twitter, and Matt runs the Twitter, I run the Instagram. But for me, I would say ignore or kill them with kindness. Just be overly kind, because the last thing you want is for you to respond to something that is appropriate, even if you're just being like witty and bantering back and forth, and then be able to take a screenshot and use it out of context, which is kind of what happened. But I mean, I was getting anxiety from seeing this, and I had nothing to do with any of it. And to me, it's just ignore, ignore, ignore. I've only gotten one real troll on my personal The Hoppy Mommy Instagram page, and it was actually right after I joined Hops News. Some random guy was giving me crap for supporting Disney. And so at first I was, very nice, and I asked questions and I listened. He was saying Disney doesn't pay their employees enough. And there was some article that had come out at Disneyland, because cost of living in Anaheim is very expensive. And there was some lady who I guess was living out of her car and ended up like dying of like a stroke or something in her car. And it was brought to light that Disney wasn't paying their employees enough, or not giving them benefits or something like that. And so I tried to be nice at first and engage, and I'm like, wow, cast members are the nicest people in the world, and da-da-da-da-da. And then a few days later, I posted another picture, like working on another Hops News article at Animal Kingdom. And this guy was like, you're supporting rich white men, and you're proud of it, and you're making the rich white men even richer by supporting Disney. And at that point, I was like, okay, block. There's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change anything, that's going to change his mind. Me engaging is probably what he wants. But the ironic part was, of course, I went to his page, and his most recent post was a Star Wars post, which is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing is too online is you don't know these people, so you don't know where they're coming from specifically. You don't know if they're joking, if they're being sarcastic, if they're being serious, or if they just think they're being hilarious even though they're being a dick. And you don't have tone. So I mean, when I was in law school, I used to actually like, arguing with people about politics. Never like arguing, but to me it was debating. And like now I really don't do it at all because I will do it in person and have a conversation, but your tone is just so easily misjudged and everything, and you just don't know these people too. I mean, some people troll and they really just think they're being funny, and somebody else is, that hurts their feelings. But there was a few people, I kept looking at it and I didn't comment on anything. I just wanted it to go away. But more than one person did make a comment about us being, oh, you're just another, two dudes talking about comics. It's like, well, you've clearly never listened to a single episode because there's never been a single episode that I wasn't on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But with the brand, anything any of us do that reflects Hops News reflects all three things. So you have to take that into mind as well. But I guess if you give in to the trolls, then they're happy. They get what they want. So I don't know. I say ignore them or just be overly nice and make them look like a bigger jerk.
Interesting perspective. I will save my comments to the end. Let's go check out Lucky. If there is any group that should be suspect to internet trolls and social media trolls, it's that goddamn Feeling Lucky crew up there in MKE. Because God, Lucky, have you guys had to deal with any trolls? I haven't seen anything, but that doesn't mean I've missed it or anything like that. Have you had any?
No, but my God, I welcome them. We have different perspectives for sure. So I relate it to a little bit. For people that don't know, I don't consider myself a stand-up comedian. I've gotten paid, I guess, once to do stand-up technically, but like I'm definitely not like a working comedian or anything like that. I haven't done it in quite some time, but that's kind of how I got my start here. So I related to hecklers in a comedy crowd, and it's a pet, like I don't want to, I didn't see at all what happened with the geeks. I've been my Twitter actually, or the Feeling Lucky Twitter, Big Daddy has actually taken over a lot of that responsibility, so I haven't been on it a whole lot. But as far as hecklers, like when you get, it's almost like a comedian's wet dream to get a heckler in a crowd because you can just kill them. Nobody likes them, and everybody knows what they're doing, in my opinion. And so like if they're super drunk or they're super annoying and they're just giving you like stuff like that, if people like you and people like act like genuinely like your content or your performance, or are there to see you or there to have fun, if you come over the top and you destroy them, and you have to do it like comedy overall else is how I see the entire world. If it's funny, nobody's gonna question it, and like if it's a funny troll or something like that and they're like actually being funny, then you kind of got to welcome it and just be like, yeah, okay, that's funny, is what it is. But if you come over the top and you're funny and like your response to them, you can't really be a dick, I don't think, in the response, or you can, and it's just kind of, you win. I guess you have to outdo the troll. But I've had like maybe 2 quote unquote hecklers, and it's just people making comments when you're trying to do a stand-up routine. But it's just so much fun coming over and just like making fun of something of theirs, or like being like, really, you're here in the crowd or something like that. Like you're replying, like you're taking time out of your day to reply. So I always think it's better to come over the top, but that's like, don't listen to my advice at all, because I look at the world completely differently. It's just, I knew I would have a different opinion than you guys, but like trolls, I think, I don't want to say it. No, I'm not even going to say any, like what I actually think, but trolls are just there. You have to deal with them at some point, depending on, I think you guys should take it as a compliment, because if there are actually people that are trying to troll you, that means you're big enough, like
somebody's worried about
people are noticing, someone's noticing, and you're, I don't know, I don't know, hate sells more than, or like, what is it? There's some comedian or someone that says like people that like you will listen for 10 minutes, people that hate you will listen for 20. So if like if they actually genuinely like don't like you, or they're saying stuff that's like whatever, they really have to dive into your content. So I knew I would have a different opinion, and I don't know at all what they said. Next time, if Mash doesn't want to deal with them, send them my way, and I will gladly. Like
I can tell you how it originally started.
I'll probably do research tonight, and I'll figure it out, and I'll start responding from the Feeling Lucky Twitter, but we'll see what happens.
Somebody had shared our, Matt was promoting our Lucky episode, or Loki episode, and somebody shared it, and Matt said, if you're mowing the lawn today, plug in your headphones and check out our most recent episode. And some person who's never listened to us, which was evidenced by the fact of them thinking that I was a guy, made the comment, I'd rather listen to a lawnmower than listen to this podcast. And right away, a bunch of other podcasts jumped in and, left funny gifs and like, it was all, just being playful. And then it just kind of escalated. But the thing I feel like with a lot of trolls is no matter what the other person says, if they engage, the troll thinks they won.
Yeah.
And,
So my take is I've got a little bit of everybody, right? There's a little bit of everybody's response in me. Individually, fucking bury him, right? Just find out what their address is, go to their house, and just beat their fucking ass. Because most of them are just keyboard warriors to begin with. And the reason that they have the time to be trolls is because they really have nothing else in their life going for them. That's my take personally. As a brand, I just don't think you can engage them at all. And here's why, right? Here's the reason why. Because as a brand, no matter if you're Hops News or if you're Ford or Chevy or Anheuser-Busch or you're the fucking biggest companies in the world, it takes resources. Yeah. There's nothing you're going to say, right, to that troll that is going to win over anybody. No matter how much you pour into it. Because if you're the GEs of the world, or you're the Fords of the world, or you're the Chevys of the world, the right thing to do is to get your public relations committee together to say, this is what's happened, what is our response? And then what's the responses from that? What's the possible outcomes? It's just, to me, it's just a dangerous slope of saying, man, we're going to engage these guys no matter what. And it doesn't matter where the information is coming from, right? I kind of relate this to, and I hate to use this word, but the cancel culture, right? We've seen kind of a spurt of it recently in the craft beer industry. And I'll be very honest with everybody. We had conversations through our group text. What do we do? How do we respond? What's the approach? And I'll be very candid and very honest and transparent and say, I don't have a problem talking about it, but it's going to be this way. You're going to approach the supposed accuser and say, if you're willing to come on and talk about it, we have a platform. If they are, you're going to give the accused the chance to talk about it as well. We don't have a huge following, but we did get some traction behind it. And I will tell you that we had nobody that responded. Nobody said, I would love to, and I get it. There's some people that just aren't comfortable with that. But I just think there's a lot of people out there that like to stir up bullshit just to stir up bullshit. Because there's no right response. There's nothing you're going to say as a brand that's going to win over anybody. And I will go as far to say the troll with the Geeks News account drug our account in and made a comment about the new logo, the new branding and all of that stuff that we just recently released. Talked about something, somebody retweeted and said, everybody knows I'm a graphics nerd or whatever, and to think they paid for this. Well, this is the type of person I am. I don't care that we wouldn't have used that content or those logos. I would have still paid that person for the work they did, because that is what they're doing. They're doing the work of a graphic designer, creating logos, creating covers for podcasts to probably make a living, right? I don't care that we wouldn't have used it. If I would have used their time, I would have still paid them, because that's what being a good person does. They did their work. If you're not happy with it, it doesn't mean that it wasn't good work on their end. They still did what they said they were going to do. I just think that no matter what the situation is, as a brand, it's a slippery slope to respond. MASH did what MASH did, and he feels that was the appropriate response. And if he was on this episode, I will tell you right now, he will tell you that was the appropriate response. I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm not saying it was right. I just think as brands, even as small as we are, you just have to be careful, because you're not going to win that battle. I get where Lucky's at. Lucky's in a whole different space. And,
I'm chomping at the bit right now. I'm going to go as soon as we get off. And I am going to I don't know. I'll go scorched earth. I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm feeling lucky can burn to the ground with me. I don't care.
Well, I will say that there's certain brands that's right for, right? Like Barstool Sports, that's right for them. Right, Feeling Lucky. If you listen to their content, that's right for them. They're gonna
fuck at me. Oh, please.
yeah. They will have the last word, because that's all they have to do is to have that last word. Right. There's certain brands that's right for. I just think that the majority of brands that really aren't into that space, I just don't think that it's the appropriate thing to do, just because of the resources it takes. MASH, I really wish that MASH wouldn't have said the things that he said that created the screen captures that they're now sharing and had all of that involved. But
Damn, I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
Next time, MASH, I'm sorry. Text me individually. I have not been paying attention to any of it, and I'm really fucking sad that I missed it, because you can send me after. I'll whatever. Feeling Lucky will be our own entity. We can take all of this stuff, and I'll go the fuck after them. That'll be it. I don't know. Different opinions, I guess. I won't get too much into it, but I totally think and it's definitely coming from where Feeling Lucky is supposed to be comedy first, in my opinion, and that people that want to troll me, please go for it. I don't know. It'll make for better content.
So we've got a comment from.
I'd love to have you on. I'd love to do all that stuff. Just damn, I'm really sad I missed it.
We got a comment from William Reed in the Facebook chat. Says, trolls, keyboard Rambos are like what we hard in the trucking industry before the internet. We then figured that they have no life but to cause hate and disconnect. That is probably the truest statement that I've heard when it comes to internet trolling, because they just, you could tell when they're taking digs at somebody that, I wasn't engaged at all. I still haven't engaged from the Hops News accounts, but when you take digs at somebody's logos, and you're really spineless, to be honest with you. And we did pay the people. I felt we paid them a pretty good rate, and was very transparent in all of our conversations with them, and just told them to do the work that we would pay them. And even if they did the work and I wasn't happy with it and we didn't use it, I would have still paid them, because that's what I was committed to in the beginning. So if I'm a bad person for that, fuck you. Honestly,
it had nothing to do with the work, though. They were just looking at something to jab. Because
yeah,
it had zero to do with that.
Yeah, and if you go look at whatever it is that they use for their profile picture, they've stolen it from someone else. It's all anime stuff that they've stolen off somebody else's creation that they're now using on their own. So
tag me, please. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Away. They're not commenting.
I'll be bringing it back up. You guys should block them, and I'll just go after them. You guys both block them, and I'll go. That's fine.
So that being said,
out of it.
If you haven't listened to Feeling Lucky,
joke come back. That's perfect.
That's well worth it.
Yeah, I kind of like